Hi PowerAppers, we've got a new experimental function in PowerApps which is called PDF, and tada, it creates PDFs inside your Canvas apps. And PDF creation is something everybody goes crazy about, everybody likes, because we need it to create invoices or certificates or anything, and then we can directly mail it in Outlook without using Power Automate at all, or we can use Power Automate to store it somewhere on SharePoint or do anything else with that file. And this function is not very well documented at the moment, so let's go over the basics, how you go from from our low-code site to our PDF site right here. Let's get started after the intro. So today we're gonna do 3.5 things. Maybe first of all, I'm gonna show you what you need to enable so you can use this new experimental function. And then we will talk about the parameters you can use with this function. And in the next step, we will see how we can create pixel perfect A4 page sizes. And then we're gonna really briefly look at how we can use the created files, not just to display them, but to use them in Outlook or pass them to Power Automate. First of all, we need to head to the settings, and then we go to upcoming features. Head over to experimental, and there somewhere should be the PDF function right at the bottom, and we need to turn this on. Standard, this is turned off. So turn this on to follow this tutorial, or you can simply download the whole app you are seeing right now. It should probably be in a few days on the official PNP repo or on my GitHub repo. Link is in the description or up here. First of all, we're gonna start with a pretty simple example. What you probably want to try out first: print the whole screen and store it in a PDF file and display it in a PDF viewer. So what we want to do first is create a screen and put some elements on there, and then just use the PDF function to create the PDF and view it in a PDF viewer control. So let's go over the function and the parameters that are involved in there. On my on select, first I want to hide the controls, the PDF viewer and the button, because normally there are some controls you don't want in your PDF. Which are on your screen. And this is the PDF function right here. And we want to store it for the moment in a variable, and we can use this variable afterwards as an input in the PDF viewer. So this is the actual PDF function. The only needed parameter is the target, and we are targeting the screen, which everything is on. You need to target something that is on the current screen or the current screen, so you can target something on another screen. And then we got some other parameters right here. And right now, as of today, there is no real documentation for this PDF function, but luckily we've got Hero. He has the blog "More Beer, More Power." I will show it on the screen really quickly. So this is where I got all this information. This is in Japanese, but you can translate it. And then it's pretty well written article, and we have the parameters right here. I will go over right now on my screen. So big shout out to Hero. I will link his blog in the description as well, if you want to look at the original source of this. So the most important parameters are the orientation. Do you want portrait or landscape, size, and then which paper size you want. I chose A4 because in Germany, basically everything comes in A4. I don't really know how it is in the US. This is the margin on the sides. So I chose 20 pixels for all sides. You can specify it for each side on its own. And this is the expand containers. So this is necessary if you have something with a scroll bar and want to display it on multiple pages. And we're going to do that in a few minutes. And another really important setting is the DPI, the dots per inch, how many pixels should be printed in 1 inch. And we commented it out because standard is 96, but you can choose another value right here. But 96 works pretty well. And then afterwards, we just unhide the controls. So what happens when I press on here? Controls vanish because they're coupled to this variable. And then it actually takes quite a while and it's not finished yet. I cannot click anything right now because using pictures, and now we are kind of finished. Yeah, using pictures results, depending on the pictures, in a little bit bigger file sizes than you would be used from a PDF. More about that in the next minutes, what works and what doesn't work. So this whole thing is fitted to the width of the screen, and then we have white space underneath because the screen is not big enough. But that's basically how the PDF function works. And let's head over to next screen where I show you how to do this a little bit better. Yeah, the next step, we will look at what we can use this function on as well. And we will use it on a container. So let's look at the function once again. The only things that we changed is we didn't choose the screen, but the container you see right here. And we changed the margin to 0 pixels for the moment, so I can show you the math involved in whole of that to get your pixel perfect A4 size. So let's hit the Create PDF button again. This has the ratios of a A4 page, but it's actually too small to fit the whole page. So if you make it bigger, I programmed it so the ratio keeps the same. And then we will actually use the whole page, but now we are about a pixel too big right here. So this is the height. Let's make it 1 pixel smaller, and then it should fit a page perfectly. Yeah, we got this small white lines on the side, but yeah, you probably won't choose this color as your background. You probably want a white background. So this wouldn't be a deal at this moment. So let's talk about what happened right here. We will leave this -1 pixel right here. So let's get into the math involved. I have a calculation right here. Let's display it, make it a little bit bigger. An A4 page is 8¼ inches wide. And I said we use the standard DPI of 96. So 8.25 times 96 calculates to 792 pixels. So when we choose to use a width with less than 792 pixels, then it doesn't get fitted to this A4 page. And we can see this really well. If we use something close to 792, then we only have a small border right here. And if we choose 792 or more, then it uses the whole width of the paper right here, of the page right here. So actually, of course, you can do this with every page size. Just use Google to find out the width of the whole thing and then multiply it with the DPIs you use, and then you get the pixels you need to set the width to get this whole thing working. And when we use something larger, then it gets again fitted to the page, but you see the text is now a little bit smaller because this whole thing is bigger. But this is the math involved, and the A4, A3, A5 formats and so on. you can calculate the height from the width when you multiply it with the square root of 2. And this is what we are doing right here to get the perfect height the whole time. And let's replicate the problem again, that it jumps to the next page. So you see now I think it's kind of a rounding error. When it's a little bit too much, then the last pixel is on the next side and it will create a new page. So we have to experiment a bit to get the right values and to be on the safe side. For just one page, just subtract 1 pixel and we are safe, we are good to go. And now you can, of course, design this whole thing just like you want and create your perfect one-page PDF for, like I said in the beginning, a certificate or an invoice. And if you want a nice preview, but your screen is too small, I've used 1200 pixels at the height, which is more like normal full HD resolution. You can, of course, do another thing and decrease the DPI from 96 to something like 50, and then you don't need the whole more than 1000 pixels to get a full A4 page. So we can be smaller right here, and this works not quite. We need to make it a little bit bigger. So, okay, this seems to work. So when you want to use your standard like 950,000 pixels is what I use for desktop apps. Normally, when you want to use this size, just decrease the DPI, and then you can do smaller containers to have everything working on one page and not overlapping the page. So you have a good preview. So let's go over the ideas from the intro right now, and you will find this screen in the demo app as well. The other two are not included in the demo app. Yeah, let's make this big for a second. And in preview mode, so the left one is an SVG image and the right one is a PNG image. Of course, it's the same image, but different image formats. And yeah, one thing I just found out, I want to tell you right here, is the SVG image didn't make it into the PDF. So yeah, test really well what you are trying to do. And another thing that I found out is bold texts will not be bold in the PDF anymore. But what does work is using the pen input to create a signature. So probably if you have done something, I think this is for a invoice for a plumber, you can sign at the spot at your customer or let your customer sign anything on a tablet. Do some signature right here. Of course, this works a lot better on a tablet. You see this preview, it already works. And then we have the updated PDF right here. So let's look at the PDF function I'm using here. Basically the same as before, but we are using a margin of 20 pixels. So my container calculates not to 792, but we are subtracting 20 pixels for the left side and the right side, and then we are at 752, and the height is resulting not in 1122 but 1082 pixels. You can copy those values together with the margin and get a pretty good result, I think. So single page PDF checked. Actually pretty easy to do. So let's take a look at some more advanced stuff. Let's take a look at what we can do with galleries right here. So this is a gallery right here. Again, we are using a width of 752 pixels. and a height of 1082 pixels again, and a template size of 1082 pixels. So each gallery entry or each card of the gallery will result in exactly one page again with the 20 pixel margin. So let's scroll through the PDF. We have different sections. We will go over that in a second. And this is the last page. Let's generate it, or actually set the pages set the pages to 4. So we have the start page, and then we have 2 filler pages, and then we will have the last page. And this is the result. Again, the problem, this is not bold anymore. And then we have 2 filler pages that have a completely different layout. And then this is the last page with another layout. So it could be something like, this is the invoice, these are terms and conditions, and the last page is wish you a Merry Christmas, or something else. How did I achieve this look? The gallery itself only has a sequence as a data source, so it's the number of pages that I used in this slider, and this results in a table with just the numbers 1 through 4. Then I set up 3 containers which exactly match the pixels of my gallery template, and the first container, the first section, is set to this item value equals 1, the visibility. The middle section is set to a visibility of value greater and 1 and smaller than the number of pages. And the last one, of course, is set to visible when it's reached the number of pages for the last page. This works pretty well, but is a little bit harder to set up because you can only work in the first one. Because as you know, in a gallery, of course, you can only click in the first template, and here is, of course, the first one visible. So I give you another hint. What seems to work, I said in the first page, the SVG picture didn't work. I don't know if no SVG pictures work, but what does work is when you put custom SVG code, which I probably, as you know, really like to do. I've got a whole playlist revolved around creating your own SVG pictures in PowerApps. I will link it on the top and in the description below. So when we are using custom SVG code right here, then this seems to work and seems to display in the resulting PDF right here. To my last example page about creating the PDFs, where I think I came up with a pretty clever solution to do it a little bit easier than construct all the sections in a gallery. So what we are doing right now is we are using a vertical container. In this case, we have a really creative use for it. I think what we are doing right now is we are setting the vertical overflow to scroll. So we get this scroll bar and not only see the first page right here, but set it to scroll. And then we can scroll through. And then we have our first section. This is our second section, which is a gallery. And then again, the last section. We are using, again, the same pixels as before. Let's open up this container right here. And the first section is a normal container inside, so not a vertical container, a normal container inside the vertical container. Like I said, 752 width and 1082 height for the first section. And for the last section, you can scroll to the last section really quick, and then we can create, build our pages right here and change everything, and don't have to work around them because they are all in a gallery. but we can use a gallery in the middle, and the gallery has again exactly the same measurements, like 752, 1082 pixels. Click here, generate PDF, exactly the same settings as before. And then we will get our PDF right here. And we get multiple pages, which are not pixel perfect. Probably we need to tweak a little bit, then really test it out with subtracting, adding half a pixel or something. Because here, as you can see, so 1 pixel overlaps to the first page of this background template fill of the gallery. And then we have, if you look really closely, yeah, we have a blue pixel right here, and then again a lime, green, yellow pixel right here. Of course, you wouldn't use this colors this way, so you can probably get away with it being 1 pixel off, and you won't notice it. You will probably don't want to use this to create 100 pages. I've tried it and my PowerApps crashed, and it takes considerably longer if I'm creating 10 pages. So probably like 10 pages max, you have to try. So again, you can download the app and just copy this pattern to create your own pixel perfect or nearly pixel perfect multi-page PDF. So let's get to the last part really quickly. So what happens right here? We again have this container right here with multiple pages. So I've used a similar setup as before. When we hit here, we get a dialog, and then we can directly send this file to your email address. Let's look at the onSelect really quickly. And again, we are creating the PDF and storing it in a variable. And then we are not displaying it in a PDF viewer, but we are using the Office 365 Outlook connector to send an email. Just send it to the current user. So you can use this app, plug and play, and you can send this email to yourself with to the logged in user. Subject is just, here's your PDF, body is just a PDF test, and set the importance to normal. And this is the important part right here. We want to send one attachment, our PDF, which is called your.pdf. We need to put this in as a table. So we use the table function outside of it. We can actually create multiple files as well. So we needed to do it like this. We can call the second one second PDF, or we can use another one and then hit the button. And a few seconds later, we will receive an email with 2 PDFs, with the first one being this here. And yeah, I noticed this in my Adobe Acrobat Reader. An error popped up saying that there's some kind of error on this page, not specified, but I didn't experience any problems in viewing it. Don't know, still an experimental feature, so probably Microsoft will do something about this. And this is our PDF. Of course, it just looks like in the PDF viewer. This is our second PDF. This was our other test PDF. Let's take a look at this again. We just have to specify the attachments as a table, and the record in this table has one field that is called content bytes. Your PDF function result goes in here, and then another field that is called a name, and then you can choose a name. And one more idea right here. And let's try another scenario. Let's try using this in a flow, also really easy to set up. Let's use the new Power Automate pane right here. We will create a new flow, and create it from a blank. And then, of course, we don't want to use the standard Power Automate trigger, but we want to use the version 2 of that. So we can specify a file as an input, create file in OneDrive for business. I will use my root path. File name is test.pdf and the file content is the PDF file, of course. Let's save this. And then input a quick button right here. Let's call this save to OneDrive. And yeah, we will copy this button here. If you are asking yourself the whole time why this looks so beautiful, the reason is that I'm using a component library created by Louise and me, which tries to use Google's material design principles. Many videos about this topic will follow. Save to OneDrive. So on select property of the button, we will use our new flow. And there we want to specify the file. The file again is a record. So we have two curly braces. The first one because it's an optional property for the flow, and the second one because the file itself is a record, again has the name property. It just doesn't matter what you put in here because it won't use the name at all. And the second property again is content bytes. And here, of course, goes our PDF again, and close two curly braces. And we have an error because right here, content bytes is not written correctly. So this should work. And here you can see we have a new file that is called test PDF. Let's open it, and here we have our file in OneDrive. So that was a lot of stuff. We learned how to set up your perfect single page PDFs, your multiple page PDFs, and in the end we learned how to send it via Outlook, via email, without using a flow, or to pass the PDF file to a flow and do everything you will like with it. So everything actually not too hard. We covered some stuff that doesn't really work at the moment, but probably it will change in the next weeks. Keep in mind, this is still an experimental feature, so use it with caution in productive apps. This is it for today. My name is Robin. See you next time.